Hi, so this video is all about things that bad teachers do. A couple of these things may be a bit controversial. Some of you may disagree, but I'm going to end it with something that I think everyone can agree with. So we'll just get right into it. So the first thing I wanted to talk about that bad teachers do, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this, but here's what it is. It's when teachers, when they award extra credit points for stuff that has nothing to do with the material that is covered in the class. So I'll give some examples. One example is I had a circuit analysis class, which is about circuit analysis, and the teacher gave extra credit for one time she gave extra credit points for going to some sort of event on campus where they were serving hot dogs. And the thing was, like, she had planned the event, so she wanted people to come. So she was inflating her attendance numbers by, getting her class to go for extra credit. I didn't do it because I'm not doing that bullshit. But so that was one thing. That has nothing to do with eating hot dogs. It has nothing to do with your grade in circuit analysis, or it shouldn't, but it did because she gave points for it. Now the second thing was, in the same way, she gave people extra credit points for going to a basketball game on campus. And the way it worked was you had to find her at the game and take a picture with her. It wouldn't be hard because it was kind of a smaller school and there wouldn't have been that many people at the basketball game. So anyways, I found that to be unacceptable. And the reason is everyone in the class it's a competition sort of. I shouldn't have a B and someone else get an A when we knew the exact same amount of material from the class. If we performed exactly as well as each other on the tests and they just got a better grade because of the extra credit, that's not acceptable. It's not. So there's that. And when you consider that we may be applying for some of the same jobs with a limited amount of jobs in the area, and this person's going to have a higher GPA than me now because they went and ate some fucking hot dogs and went and watched a basketball game, that is not acceptable. It's not fair. So another example is I had a physics class, and in this case, I actually calculated my grade. I made a B in the class, but I would have had an A if I got all the extra credit right. I got none of the extra credit points. So the extra credit in this class was bonus points on each test. So the first test, the bonus question was, what is my favorite album of all time? Mine being, what is the teacher's favorite album of all time? Ended up being some Incubus album or something. I don't know, but what did that have to do with anything? The only way you would know the answer to that is if you're like friends with a teacher, you've talked to him about that. Maybe some people in the class had. I don't know. If they had, then that's just extremely unfair at that point. But, well, that's what happened. It wasn't fair. Another question was to name all 7 dwarves from Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. And on that one, I actually got 6 out of 7 correct, which was worth 0 points. You had to get all of them to get any points. I mean, I think it's stupid either way, but so that happened. Very unfair. I know some people are going to disagree, but the only thing that your grade in a class should, the only criteria for your grade in a class should be your knowledge of the material taught in that class. Period. That's it. I firmly believe that. So here's the second thing. The second thing that bad teachers do is they make attendance in their class affect the student's grade artificially. Now, I say artificially because if the teacher's doing a good job teaching their class well and using their class time effectively, then they don't need to take attendance because the people that skip a lot of classes are going to do poorly on the tests. Now, if that teacher's not using their class time effectively, or maybe it's just an easy class, Or maybe it's a hard class, but just a particular student knows that material somehow already just from learning it on his own or whatever and didn't go to class. But my point is, if you still do good on the test, if you still make a good grade, who cares if you were there? That's what the grade is for measuring your comprehension of the material, measuring the student's knowledge of the material. It shouldn't matter if you were physically in the class or not. It shouldn't. Now, it usually will, because usually you're not going to learn without being in the class, and that's how it should be. No reason to artificially make the attendance worth any points. And I know a lot of schools actually have it written into policy, different sorts of attendance policies and how they can affect your grade. That is of the utmost retardation. Not that I expect any better from the university system in America and probably anywhere. I'm not surprised by it. But anyways, so there's two things. That's the two things that I think a lot of people might disagree with. But now I'll tell you the third thing that bad teachers do that I think most people can agree with, and that is when the teacher does not give the students a good idea of what material is going to be covered on the test. So usually the teacher's thinking behind this is, I'm just going to say anything that we've taught in the class could be on the test, and if I say that, then the students will just study really hard and they'll learn every single thing. Well, it never happens like that. Students instead are all a human being is capable of learning and memorizing is a finite amount of things. So that's what the students are going to do. They're just going to kind of try to guess what's going to be on the test and just study that material, or they'll try and study everything, but study everything just a little bit, and they're not really going to learn much that way. And they're going to do poorly on the test. Now, I'm not saying a teacher should tell the students exactly what problems are going to be on the test or exactly what type of problems are going to be on the test, but they should, at the very least, really give a lot of focus on a particular amount of problems. Let's say in a class like physics, you may have covered 10 to 15 different types of problems in the class leading up to that test. It's not reasonable to expect the students to learn all those different kinds of problems. The test is only going to have 3 or 4 problems on it, if it's like any physics class I've ever taken. So the teacher would be best off, and this is how the students are going to learn the most too, to just really focus on maybe 5 or 6 different types of problems. Maybe even telling the students, maybe it's up to the teacher, like that these 6, 7, whatever types of problems are the kind that might be on the test. So study these. There's going to be 3 or 4 problems, but if you know all these 6 or 7, you'll be good. And I think that's a reasonable amount of material for a student to learn. 15 types of problems or 10 types of problems, at that point, I think it's not reasonable. But a lot of teachers go with that and just want the students to learn everything. It's not acceptable. So that was 3 things that bad teachers do. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and please leave a comment. That's what I want you to do the most. Even if you don't like or subscribe, please leave a comment about what you think about the video, about anything about the video. Alright, thank you for watching.